The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's Formation Evaluation Society of Queensland seminar by Kate Wathen-Dunn on accessing data from the GSQ Open Data Portal. With our move to, data being so important to industry and the Geological Survey developing its new Open Data Portal and various other little bits that hang off the Open Data Portal, we thought this was a pretty timely event and a good opportunity to show people how they can access the data through several different options, and that you don't have to download data by little bits and pieces. You can use the API and extract huge chunks of data like never before. So to introduce Kate, Kate joined the Geological Survey mid-April last year, apparently about the time COVID hit. So for the first couple of months she worked for the Geological Survey. She wasn't able to put her faces to names, but since we've all returned to the office, Kate's been a huge help in helping us navigate all this new technology, and for me in particular, helping me understand how I write SQL queries. Kate seems to have a huge affinity for data, and lists one of her great joys and passions as playing with some of, well, a broad selection of the Geological Survey's 100 years of exploration data. Without further ado, I will hand over to Kate for today's presentation.
Thanks very much, Sally. Do you have my screen up there, Sal?
Yeah, I've got it up here, but I don't know if our attendees can see. So can someone please put something in? Yep, we can see. Okay, wonderful, thanks. I will put my microphone.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to close some of these windows that I've got down here. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about how to access some of the data from our Open Data Portal. So as Sally was saying, we've just gone through this data modernisation process. We've made about 90% of our open data that's held by GSQ available for industry to access, and we're going on kind of a self-serve, make it easier for everybody to access the kind of information that they're after. So today is just kind of an introduction of the kind of data that we have and how you might be able to search for and find it. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an outline, so I'm going to introduce you to our Open Data Portal. I'm going to show you how you can use filters to narrow down the search for data of interest for yourself. I'm going to show you how you can download that data directly from our Open Data Portal as a group, as a batch. And then I'm going to talk to you about our API. So the Open Data Portal that we built is accessible through API, which means that there's a lot of benefits behind that and ways of accessing the data that were not available before. And similar to the Open Data Portal itself, you can use filters in the API to narrow your search, and you can also download bulk data using the API as well. So I'm going to show you a little bit about that too today. So GSQ's Open Data Portal. So GSQ holds geological data from Queensland from the last 150 years of reports and information. We have seismic surveys, we have geochemistry data, we have all kinds of stuff. Our data is stored as data sets around a topic, and we have all documents that are attached to those data sets. In our system, they're called resources, so that might help you to navigate where things are. All our data sets are tagged for easy filtering, so it's all standardized from all of our different data cohorts. It's all standardized to make it really easy to find what you're after and to group data together. So you can search for data type by range, by file type, or a data category. And I'm going to show you our portal now, and we can have a look through. Okay, so this is the landing page. Hopefully Sally or Vance will put the address for this, the URL for this in the chat, so people can go and have an explore on their own when they feel like it. So our Open Data Portal, to start off with, you can search initially for something in particular, or you can search by data type. For example, you might be looking for seismic data or a particular report or borehole information. You can also specify a region of interest and draw a bounding box if you're interested in just data from that particular area. So that's not meant to replace our GeoResGlobe tool as a spatial search, but it is a way of narrowing down data that for a particular region for you to just make things a bit easier to find. All our open data is also linked through our GeoResGlobe. So if you're looking for spatial searches, that's a better way to go. But it's all connected inside our system. Let's have a look for reports, for example. So when you click on a particular data set or a data type, it basically instigates a filter. So down the side here on the left hand are all the ways you can search for data. So you might search by a data type or a commodity. You might want to look at all of our data sets have been tagged with an earth science data category. And here's a list of what they are. And in fact, I'll go back up and I'll untick report so you get the whole broad range. So filtering through is as easy as clicking on these facets and ticking in these boxes and filtering further and further down. So like I said, by data type or by commodity, earth science data category. Geological features is something that we'll be working on. It's not something that we've got ready just yet. So we've gone through 2 stages of our data modernisation project, and most of the data from our previous system, so we amalgamated 6 systems into one, and most of that data has been migrated into our new system, but there is still some that hasn't quite finished being moved. So it's a bit of a work in progress, and geological features is on that list. So soon you'll be able to search by geological features, but unfortunately that's not available just yet. If you're looking for reports, you can search by report type. Maybe you're after only coal reports or proposals or something from the Queensland Government Mining Journal. So you can really narrow down the kind of things that you're after. Maybe you're after a file type. So here are some LAS files, for example, or maybe you're after PDF of reports, or maybe you're after JSON files. The other thing you can do is filter by date. So if you know that you're after data between certain years or greater than a certain date, you can use the date as a filter for your data as well. And what you get is all of this on the right-hand side. So if I just tick a few of those randomly, maybe I'm looking for borehole data with zip files. Each time you put a filter in, it tells you what your filters are here, and it limits the results that you get back. So maybe that's not what you're after. Maybe you don't care about zip files anymore. You can either untick the box on this panel here on the left-hand side, or you can just remove the filter from there. And these are your search results here on the right-hand side. So another great attribute of our Open Data Portal is you can use search terms here. So maybe you're using a particular word, maybe you know the name of a borehole that you're after, or if you have a look here, you can search on any attribute. So like I said, all of our data sets are tagged with metadata, and they include titles of reports. We have persistent identifiers for each of our data objects. Maybe you're after a permit, a particular permit, and all the information about that. Maybe you have a borehole name that you're interested in. So you can narrow your search that way as well, so that you only get results from these fields. The other thing you can do is an advanced search. So maybe you want to know, you're basing it on a borehole name. I can't think of one offhand, but maybe borehole names. Report PID. So all our PIDs are 6 digits. You may have an old report number that you use. You just need to add some zeros at the beginning to make it a 6 digit. So maybe you want to know that report number. You can also click on advanced search and add some other details as well. So again, you can search on any attribute. So maybe you want to know that report number plus a title. Maybe you have very specific information that you want to find. So you can narrow your search in any way that suits you and add more and more fields if you like. So once you have that data, say for example, you just want that. It brings you to a page with all the information that you selected. You can tick each of them individually and download each of them one at a time, or you can add all of them to your bucket and download them all. So that's a great way, is if you've narrowed down your search to maybe it might be even a couple of hundred of data points, you can download it all at once from the Open Data Portal, and it just saves you a fair amount of time. If you don't want to download them all at once, you can take, if you change your mind, you can take one of them out one at a time by ticking on the buttons. And it just comes down as a pack. So if you decide to download them all, down they go, and it arrives as a zip file that you then unzip and save wherever you like. So that's a great way of getting the kind of information that you're after, nice and easily. What else did I want to show you? So if you go back, at any point you can go back to where you started from. Maybe you're interested in just geochemistry data, or what data sets we do have. Maybe gravity is your thing. So it's all been filtered down into these groups that you can use to search. So again, like I said, when you choose one of the facets to search on, you get a filter, and all the results you get have gone through that filter. And you can change your mind at any time. Just get rid of the filter there, or untick it in the facet search on the left-hand side. So that's a way of having a look at the kind of data that we have in our Open Data Portal and how you can download bulk data all at once. I'm going to go back to our slides now because I want to talk to you about our API. So an API is an acronym for Application Programming Interface, and it's a way of accessing the data programmatically. So it sounds a bit scary, but it's just another way of doing things. So an API is a software intermediary, and it allows two applications to talk to each other. So each time you log into an app, or you use Facebook or Twitter, or send a message or check the weather, all of those things use an API to communicate between your phone and your request and the website that you're requesting information from. So there's a fantastic little video on this YouTube site here that I'm hoping that Vance or Sally will pop into the chat as well, that you can have a look at your own time. It's just a little 3-minute video, but it's a really nice explanation of what an API is and how it works. So I won't go through that right now, but if you're interested, go and have a look at that later on. So what are some of the benefits? So if you're using an API, it's a quick way to do it. You don't have to click your way through the data. You don't have to click on checkboxes. It's a very quick way of filtering down to exactly the kind of data that you're interested in. There's an API search that checks for data sets that have recently changed. So if you have downloaded bulk data and you want to check if anything has changed or been updated or files added to it, it's a very quick way to assess that. The data is all returned in JSON format, which is a standard format, and it's a way you can pass for fields of interest as well, which makes grabbing that data and saving it and using it in other formats really easy. And there are ways that you can use API calls from a Python script to download the bulk data. So, as I said, our Open Data Portal is accessible via API. So when you're using API, I told you before we have data sets and their associated resources. With API, the data sets are called packages. That's the only difference. It's just a little terminology thing to remember. But an API allows users to interact with our data. You can use it to search for, you can open the reports there and then, you can download data individually, or like I said, you can use a Python script to download things in bulk. So something that we did with our data modernization is we created a GitHub site, and most of the stuff that we are working with and use are available for people to have a look through. including how to use our API. So if I just open that now, this is our GitHub page. This is what it looks like. So this is particularly for the Open Data Portal API guide, and there's all kinds of information there. So it tells you about, there are links you can go to learn more about the specific command that you can use that suit in with our Open Data Portal system. Some information about how it works, how to use the API request. There are some example queries. And of course, as I mentioned, we have Python scripts that are pre-written for you that you can copy and paste and use. So we have some for saving requests and saving the data that you get, how to find particular packages of information or data sets, how to use it to search by geospatial data. And also we have here a little dictionary of the kind of terms that you can use in your API calls to help narrow down and filter the kind of information that you get as a result. So I'll just scroll to the top, sorry if that's too quick. The other thing that we have here is this downloaded example Python script that you can copy and paste as well. And this is a way of downloading the bulk report. So as I said to you before, when you're using the Open Data Portal itself, you can select all of the results that you get and download them as a zip file. And you can do the same thing with the API calls as well. So this is a pre-written script for you. You just need a CSV file with the information that you're after. For example, if you're looking for reports, you'd want the PID and you'd want the title perhaps. And using the API call and the previous scripts on the page I showed you before to use that JSON parsing to grab each of those bits of information into a CSV file through Python, it would be the way to do that. So you use those previous scripts to grab the data that you're interested in and grab the particular fields that you're interested in and make a CSV file. And then you would use this bulk downloader Python script to grab all that data off our Open Data Portal and download it as a bulk set onto your own computer. So that's all been pre-written for you. I'll go back here now. All right, so APIs sound a bit scary. They sound a bit programmy, but you can actually write an API query directly into your web browser. So you open up your Google or your Edge or whatever search browser you want to use. And the recipe is basic. You need an address, you need the kind of result that you want, and you need to have any filter information on the end of it. So to give you an example, you'd start with our Open Data Portal address, and that would be at the beginning of all of your API calls. And then at the end of that, you'd add the kind of result you're after. So maybe you're looking to show a particular package, which is, remember, the data sets. Or maybe you're looking for which packages have particular resources. So that would be a resources search. Or maybe you just want to know what the changed activities are. So you add that to the end of the Open Data Portal address. And then at the end of that, you can add some filtering information. So perhaps you're after a specific report with a report ID, or maybe you're after seismic data only. And you can use multiple filters and just join them all together with no spaces using the AND symbol. So when you make API calls, it sends a request to our Open Data Portal and it brings back the information and the results to you, and it's returned in JSON format. I have an extension on my browser to make the API data easier to read. So that's the one I use, the JSON formatter, but there's lots of different ones to choose from. And if you have that extension installed in your browser, it makes it really easy to read the returned JSON format. And you can copy and paste into a text file if you want to save those results if you're doing it directly from the browser. So here are some examples. Maybe you want to see how our data sets are catalogued. So what kind of overall categories are they going into? So there's your API, it's gone directly into the browser and there's the result. So if I can't quite see, oops, nope, don't want to do that. That's what I'm after. So with the extension that I have in here, it automatically passes it into a nice readable format, but if you didn't have one, you would get just the straight text back. And that's what raw data looks like in a JSON format, but you can, like I said, with the extension, you can pass it and it comes back to you nice and easy to read. So maybe you want to see what data sets have recently been changed or had files added to them. Again, it just goes directly into the browser. It works like a URL, like a link. And here's the results. Again, if you don't have that, it looks like that. So it'll come back looking a bit like gobbledygook, but if you just put an extension in there, or you copy and paste that into a website that has a JSON formatter, if you would rather do that, you can make it look nice and pretty and easy to read. So that's what a JSON format looks like when it's all nicely structured, but otherwise when it comes back to you, it'll just be in text format like that. So don't be frightened if you see that. It's just the way JSON looks when it's not been formatted. So again, same thing, you can look for ones about chemistry if you're looking for just that, or maybe you're just looking for borehole, but you can see the structure of the API. So if you have a look, there's the address up to this point. And then here, for example, is the result type I'm after. So I'm after a package search. And here is the query from the question mark onwards, the filter. So the filter is I only want the ones that are the type borehole. So you can see the three different parts of the API. So again, this returned, there's 58,000 borehole data sets in our, and it just, yeah. So something to know about when you use the API, when you're using it directly in the browser like this, even though there are 58,000 results, you only get the first 1,000 because of the way that the browser settings work. So if you wanted to get all 58,000 of them, you would need to use that Python script if you're using the API. If you wanted to go to the Open Data Portal itself and select all of the reports or all the boreholes, you could filter through that way and download everything as well. So that's another way to do it too. And here's one where we've joined multiple filters. So again, here's the structure of it. There's the address. There's the result type that we want. And here's the query that we want. So we're filtering it by report type and filtering it by a specific report. So if you do that and you get a specific report back, you get all the information about it. So you get the description. If you scroll down, each of these in here are a field that you can search on or pull out for your Python for accessing it. So if you're only interested in the spatial data for those particular, you can just pull out that field for the JSON file. Yeah. Sitting still too long. So as part of that data set, it describes all the resources associated with that particular report as well. And the great thing about that is if you do that and you're after a particular report and you're using the API, if you scroll down to the resources, there's a download URL. So if you do that, it's an actual link. So if you're just wanting one thing at a time, you can scroll through, use the API to search and narrow down exactly what you're after, scroll down through the resources and then click on the link and you get that downloaded to your computer directly. So you can do that for each of the resources for that particular report if you're after. Yeah, so again, the URL is a direct link and a direct download. So when you click on that, it works just like a link and downloads it directly for you. So that's another way you can use our API to narrow down your searches and save yourself time. Okay, so as I said before, when you're using the API query directly into the browser, you only get 1,000 data sets. So even though the results may have more than that in there, only the first 1,000 appear in your browser. So you need to use that Python script to get more than that. And as I mentioned before, we have that example script on our GSQ GitHub site that you are very welcome to use and make use of. So in summary, I just wanted to let you know that the GSQ has undergone this digital and data modernisation process. And while it's still a work in progress, about 90% of our open data is now stored in the cloud. It's searchable and it's accessible to industry. So our Open Data Portal is a great way to search for data of interest. It's accessible via API calls and you can use that to quickly search and download bulk interest as well. And all the instructions are available on our GitHub repository. So the only thing left that I wanted to say that I forgot to say before was that on our Open Data Portal, some of the data sets we have are huge, they're enormous. So they're not accessible to download directly through the browser or through the website. So we have files that are terabyte size, but there's an email address that you can ask for us. We can help you to, because it's all set up in Amazon. Our preference is to use S3 to S3 sync to move files between S3 buckets. So for those particular big files, like some of the seismic files are enormous, we can use S3 transfers to move data in and out as well. So if you're after a big file, just contact us and we can work with you to get that moved into your S3 bucket for you. So it's another way of accessing data of interest. Oh. And that's my last slide. Thank you very much for listening. Over to you, Sal.
Thanks a lot, Kate. Every time I see one of these presentations, I learn more about what I don't know. So it's cool that you've got your head around it all, and I will be coming to you every time I need something for this picture. We don't appear to have any questions in our chat, but does anyone have questions? Please start typing. Okay, someone said it was very well presented.
Thank you. If you've got the links in the chat, I think it's best for people to go and have a play, have a fiddle, see what you can find. Just have a search around the site. As you know, like I said, it's a work in progress. So if you have any feedback or questions, then there is an email address to our GSQ Open Data at resources.qld.gov.au. And we can help you if you're looking for a particular data set and you can't find it, or you have questions about how to get the data that you're interested in. So we're always happy to help.
We've got a question here. It's for data type like routine core analysis, is there a single data type to filter on, like well completion report, or could they be located in different data types?
You can search for well completion reports directly. That's certainly fun. That's one of the facets you can click and just have only well completion report results shown to you. So yeah, that's certainly a way to filter the data. You can filter by file type. So maybe you're only after well completion reports that had a CSV attached to them or something. So there are ways you can really narrow down and filter down to exactly what you're after.
Okay, we have another question. Zip is a format for a container of files, not a format for documents. Should all compressed sets not have been decompressed so the files inside can be indexed and located?
So yes, but we have an index for each of those zip files as well. So there is a JSON file index for each of those zip files, so you can see what's in there before you bother downloading them. So you're right, it is compressed for storage reasons, but you can still see what's in there before you decide to download it.
Okay. Has OCR been completed on older reports to search the content?
Yes, and they are in the process of being uploaded as we speak. So each of those OCR reports will be added as an associated resource to each of their parent documents. So if you're looking for a particular report, if you go into that report, as one of the associated documents will be the OCR version of that. So it's taking a little while to get it all offline because we have about 60,000 of them. So over time, there'll be more and more. And as things become open file, so they move from that private to some open file data, they will also be put online for people to access as well.
Okay, this one I don't know if either of us will be able to answer. How does offshore data compare with the data on NoPIMS? Has it been curated more or is it the same? Do we need to check both sources? Queensland generally has onshore data. We don't have a lot of offshore data that I'm aware of. So I would say you have to check both. Do you know anything about that, Kate?
No, but I wonder if Vance might be able to help us with that.
Okay, well, if Vance can send me a message in Teams, I can then post it in the chat so everyone can see the answer.
Don't you love technology?
Oh, it's wonderful, cross-platform, and I'm on top of it. Has the Queensland globe been superseded?
It's different.
No, this feeds into the globe. This is sort of where the data behind the globe will eventually sit. So the globe is sort of for visualizing data. You'll also be able to download data through the globe, but at the moment they're still two separate entities. They haven't quite been merged yet.
Yeah, so they're separate, but they're linked. So you can access data in either place, depending on the way that you want to search.
Okay, we've just got a further comment on NOPIMS. There was very limited offshore data. When NOPIMS was instigated, they took the relevant data we held and populated their database. Okay. I don't know anything about sort of NOPIMS, so it's probably exactly the same data then. Okay. When will the old QPED database be made available via the API?
What was in QPED, Sal? Do you know?
That's the Queensland Petroleum Exploration Database. It's all the separate CSV and Excel files. It's currently available, I think, as a download through the Open Data Portal. Is it a data set, Vance?
It would be a data set. So we've packaged together several things that were related and made sense as a chunk. So geochemistry data you can download like that. And I imagine that's also another data set that you could search for and download. But maybe Vance could give more information on that.
And just clarifying, I don't think the petroleum geochem has been pulled out. This is all minerals geochem.
It is, exactly, yes.
Yeah, petroleum geochem, you'll still have to go through the well completion reports. Okay.
Well, as part of our data modernisation, we have a data science team now here at GSQ, and pulling that kind of information out of reports using text mining and data science is on our list of things to do. So perhaps in the future we'll have petroleum geochemistry data to share.
Okay, Kate, we've got another QPED question. They want to know, is it searchable via the Open Data Portal? So maybe we can do a little demo.
Let me see if I can.
And I think the uploaded version is still the 2017 version. If you want anything slightly more recent, you'll have to extract it. So I'm sure I've seen it under the data sets. Yep, QPED.
Yep, so can you see my screen there, Sal?
Yep, we're still sharing.
Yep, so I just went into the Open Data Portal and I've got the search bar at the top there. I just typed in QPED and this is what came up. So it's a zip format. It's got 2017 database extract containing, so a little description of what it is. If I click on that, it opens it a bit further, gives you a description of what it is and where it came from. And then you can just add it to your downloads by clicking the little cloud button or just download it directly. So yep, very easy to search for in the Open Data Portal.
Yeah, someone's just saying they were entering petroleum geochem into our old database in the 1990s. So
really fantastic.
Yeah, my point before was that the QPED remains as the 2017 extract. It hasn't been updated. So anything more recent than 2017 hasn't been stripped from the reports, so you will have to do that. Under our other dataset section, it will be geochemistry. The name geochemistry is assigned to minerals, not to petroleum. So you will
That's true.
go in there, you'll get a bit of a shock if you download terabytes of geochem data, and then you won't be able to use it. Okay, any more questions? No, I think we've reached the end of our questions. Oh, hang on.
Well,
can I use APIs to bring data files in the portal? For example, geophysical grid files into my GIS software.
I think you could do that from GeoResGlobe. I think you can, actually, I'm not 100% sure. I think you can search by file type, and if there's those kind of spatial information, then you'll be able to do that. But I don't have a lot to do with the spatial data, so it might be better directed to someone at our SGS team.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll just go through.
So my email address should be on screen now.
Can you just zoom a little bit? It's not that, it's better now. People will be able to read it. Yep.
So if you have any questions, feel free to email me and ask. But Sally, could you please put the GSQ Open Data at Resources email address in the chat as well for people to access if they have questions about the Open Data Portal or about particular data sets of interest?
I can do that. Okay, it's in there. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, yep. Who can I contact if you've got further questions? If you've got a friendly contact at GSQ, contact them and they will pass it on to Kate or Vance or anyone in the data team. But generally go through this GSQ Open Data at Resources. Oh, that's the new thing. We're no longer the Department of Natural Resources, Mines and Energy. We are now the Department of Resources. So update any emails you have for your contacts.
Thanks again, everyone, for coming along and for listening in and for wanting to learn more about our Open Data Portal. We're very proud of it and we're very excited to share it with you. So thanks again.
Well, I'd like to thank Kate on behalf of everyone attending today for a very interesting presentation. As I said, I'm still learning about this, so it's great that everyone else has come along today to find out how you use it and to watch the improvements sort of that will be happening over the next, well, however long. As long as you can keep submitting different data types, we'll be modifying the system to accommodate them. So
watch this space.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. So